Hello, and welcome to the Ilene Silverman Show. I'm your host, Ilene, and on this week's program, our guest discusses the United States War Dogs Association, the valuable service of these courageous canines to our country, and how we can recognize and pay tribute to their service. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. Since World War I, military working dogs have played an important part in the United States Armed Forces. To tell us more and to share their stories, I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Barbara Snow, Executive Director, United States War Dogs Association, Southern Chapter. And Barbara, it is a delight to have you here.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk about these wonderful dogs. We appreciate it.
Indeed, and it's so appropriate right now. We've just celebrated a Veterans Day. We've commemorated the 100th anniversary of World War I. And as we sit and talk about this, knowing that that was the first war where dogs were introduced into being an integral part of the military and has continued on since all these 100 years.
Yes, they've saved many lives, and if it weren't for the dogs, there'd be 10,000 more names on that Vietnam Wall.
Oh,
And those are facts
There's already-
that come from the
yeah.
United States Army. 10,000 more names would be on that wall.
incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, take a moment and tell me, Barbara, a little about yourself and how you got involved into being a part of this.
Okay, I was the director of humane societies in several different states in my career, and also municipal animal control agencies. So my life was spent in regulating and protecting animals, my life's career. The last year of my work, I helped the War Dog Association with their plans to create a National Canine Veterans Day, and that's how I got to know the president of the War Dog
Right.
Association. And the day after I retired, he asked me to start the Southern Chapter.
Your next career.
Your next
And give
career.
us some dates, because the association started in the year 2000.
The
And
national
The
organization.
National
yes.
Organization,
And
United
this
States
was,
War
this
Dogs
was in
Association.
2010.
Okay, that you
that I
started our
it.
Southern Chapter.
Yes, I started it in May, and then I actually formed it as a nonprofit veterans group and we got registered with the state of Florida, and we remained very active in our registration in September of 2010. So it's been 8 years now,
Right.
and I just hope we can do it till I take my last breath. I mean,
Well, I can tell you've got a great website. Just talking to you, getting to know you, which our viewers are having the opportunity to do now. You've gotten a lot accomplished, and you will continue to do so. But explain a little about the association and what are some of your goals. As a matter of fact, I know you have a board of directors. And,
yes.
And who are members?
We have a member of law enforcement, a captain in Citrus County Sheriff's Department, and we have a veterinarian on our staff, and we also have a military person, and
So
I have a person that's very good at administration that can help me out.
Can
with
help you
different
out,
things.
because this
Yeah.
is all volunteer.
Yes, none of us get paid.
Right.
Every donated penny goes for the benefit of the dogs. Some of it is indirect because of it's the expenses of postage, because we mail out a lot of certificates of honor for the dogs that pass.
Right.
And our mission is to give honor, memory, awareness, appreciation, and assistance to our nation's hero dogs, the ones that keep us all safe, secure, and free. And we sleep better at night because they're there. I mean,
Yes.
there's 3,000 of them now deployed all over the world.
I mean, that's an incredible number.
Yeah, and these dogs, I've had handlers, military war dog handlers have told me my dog will get me home. Law enforcement canine handlers have told me my dog is the reason I get to go home every night.
Safe.
Safe.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're speaking of the handlers. Explain that, and are they mostly the membership of the association, national or southern chapter?
No, they're the ones that are in the military. A handler is the one that's in the military, and the handlers are the ones that work in law enforcement, the police canines. And now we have dogs that work for the Secret Service. We have dogs that work for Homeland Security, and we have arson dogs that are out there, and we have human remains detection dogs that are out there. We have dogs that work in narcotics. They're trained in tracking, search and rescue. They will find an escaped convict from prison, and they'll find a missing 3-year-old child. They'll find Alzheimer's patients. They'll find people with dementia, and a lot of autistic children are found when they're missing through these canines.
Right.
So they help us all. General Petraeus said the capability that they bring to the fight cannot be replicated by man or machine, and it's so true. There's no man or no machine out there that can replicate
what they're doing.
What they do is phenomenal.
I agree.
And they save lives, many lives.
Yes, and it's important that we're recognizing them. And we're going to take a quick break, but then we have much more to talk about.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about the United States War Dogs Association Southern Chapter with Executive Director Barbara Snow. And Barbara, I know you have so many wonderful, heartwarming stories to share with us, and I'm looking forward to that. But first, I wanted you to tell our viewers, what is it that your chapter does? What are your objectives and accomplishments?
Okay. One of the things that we do, which is very near and dear to my heart, is we present certificates of honor to the law enforcement canines that pass in the line of duty or if they pass in retirement. We recognize their service with these certificates of honor. We have a Kids for Canines program that goes into the schools and teaches the children about the value and the service of these dogs, so that they don't fear them when they see one. If they see a police dog, they won't feel afraid, and they need to know what they do. And I get so excited when they actually learn. When I know they're learning, when you ask them, like the handler, for instance, will throw something down on the floor and tell the dog to pick it up. Well, of course, the dog will pick it up, And then I say, well, let me try and throw it. So I throw it down on the floor and I say, pick it up. And the dog won't do anything, you know. And I say to the kids, gee, I thought this dog was smart. He doesn't seem smart. He's not listening to me. And the kids will yell, no, they only obey their handler.
See, they know.
And I'm so happy that they learn, It's exciting, and we love.
And then they go home and tell their family, and that is
tell their parents
all
about them, and that's so important,
Right.
And these dogs are so amazing. I mean, they do so much for us. So we want to recognize them, and we want to have that program.
And when they come home, you want to keep them comfortable. You have a prescription drug program.
Right. We have, for all the nation's dogs that retire, the government doesn't pay for any veterinary care after they pass on, and we want to keep them free from pain, and we want them to have prescription medicine, and if they need an operation, we want to help them with it. And also sometimes we even take care of when they pass away. We give them, a resting place, and urn, and we do all that for them. We have an adoption program. We have a ranch out in Texas that connects the dogs, the PTSD dogs, with the PTSD soldiers, and they help each other out. And afterwards we can place the dog up for adoption when it becomes socialized again.
Right.
So we do a lot of those programs. We do legislation. We try to get laws passed that help their working conditions and their safety conditions. So there's a lot of things that we do. One of the most important things we do is monuments and memorials.
Yes, you have several
I have
different
a
places
picture
in the
of one
country.
here.
Right.
This is on a ship in Michigan, and you can see this is the memorial. And we sent them
outstanding.
all War Dog medals
Yes.
to put on them so that they'll have their medals with them.
And this is the medal you give
Yes,
the dogs,
that's
right?
the War Dog medals.
Beautifully
I
done.
presented many of them to Vietnam veterans, so their dogs, and also to dogs that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, Kuwait. I gave a medal to military war dog Damon that protected the President of the United States and his wife when they were overseas
Right.
in Afghanistan. So we do a lot.
Yes, you've got another story about Damon, I think, don't you?
Yes, Damon.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be able to adopt Damon out came from Patrick Air Force Base, and he had a service over in Kuwait, and he was wounded in Afghanistan. So they retired him at the age of 9 years old, and they didn't want him to work again. He was an explosive detection dog, and we adopted him out to a man that is. I get pictures on my, I get texts, I get pictures. He loves this dog more than he loves himself. He sold his motorcycle so that he could get a better vehicle for Damon to ride around in. And they're like ambassadors for us. They help us. So I bring him to our events, and I love to see Damon. Damon, he's people love to meet him when we take him out. He's the star of the show.
I understand
the
what
star
you
of
mean.
the show.
Everything else fades away.
Yeah,
Right.
And there's many dogs that we know personally that have, and there's many sad stories and there's happy stories too. But Damon was adopted on Valentine's Day, and this man is so happy in 2017. And he had a retirement ceremony, and he's a hero. He's an American hero.
So that's really an important part of what you're doing.
Oh yes,
right.
We want them to have a happy retirement when they're through with their service, and we want them to be pain free, and we want them to have what they need. We want their physical needs met and their behavioral needs met, and we want them to have love, and we want them to be happy. And Damon now, when he goes to when he rides in the car and he knows they're getting near where he gets to White Castle, he can. When he's blocks away, he starts barking.
So highly trained now.
He's getting to White Castle.
The food's coming.
And I have a picture of him on my phone where he's in the pet store picking out his own cookies.
I love it.
And he's wearing his vest that says U.S. Air Force on it, and everybody loves him. I mean, he's a hero, He's an American hero.
Right.
We're so happy that we can help dogs like him. And there's many stories.
I know.
I could be here for months.
Well, thank you for sharing this one. We're going to take another quick break, Barbara.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about United States War Dogs Association. And Barbara, your stories are very heartwarming and meaningful. And so please introduce us to this dog right here. Stormy is his name.
That's Stormy, and
He travels around with you?
Yes, and the reason why we got him is because we bring our live retired dogs to our events. And a lot of times when they have to go out and do their doggy business, somebody will come up to our booth and they'll say, "Where's the dogs?" So now when the dog has to go out to do his doggy things, we put Stormy in there.
In place.
And Stormy was named after the dog that officially started the War Dogs Association, because Ron Aiello, his handler, is the founder. And that's the dog that he had in Vietnam that saved his life. It was on a sentry duty, and he saved his life when the dog alerted on a bullet. He heard the click and he alerted, and Ron dropped down and the bullet went right over his head. So he saved his life.
The training, it's hard to believe the sensitivity that the dogs have.
They anticipate danger for the handler. Sometimes, a lot of times before the handler
even knows it that fast.
Knows it. That's right.
How long does it take to train a dog?
Well, it depends on what you're training them for.
Okay.
Now the average in law enforcement would be maybe 400 hours in law enforcement. If you're training a SEAL dog, or if you're training a dog for explosive detections,
That'd be even more.
there has to be even more. And some of the bloodhounds that are used in law enforcement are used for strictly for the nose,
Right.
finding missing people, missing convicts. We have dogs that mostly they're German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois, and there's Labradors, and there's golden retrievers.
Oh, you're right. We have
we have a golden retriever
canine
there.
collection here.
That dog was famous in after the Oklahoma City bombing. They were in the protecting, and there's a picture with a firefighter. There's many of them.
As you said, so many.
Yeah.
So
there's
many stories.
of them, yeah.
But there's one that is part of Gainesville,
Yes.
and that dog's name was Honey.
Honey the Wonder Dog.
Yes. So
yes.
share the story of Honey.
Oh, Honey the Wonder Dog lived for 8 years, and she dedicated her life to a Vietnam veteran, Michael Gaither. And she was an amazing dog. She was honored by the governor, by the Masons. She was honored by the city council. She won four Bronze Stars. She's got a War Dog medal. But there was unique things that she could do. If his COPD mask would fall off, she would slap him on the leg to wake him up, and with the other paw she would bring the mask close to his face so when he woke up he could back on. When he would fall out of his wheelchair and his wife was out shopping for groceries or something,
Right.
and she wasn't home, Honey would
That
go
would
over
be-
and push the button and call 911.
That that is incredible.
And the answer would come, service dog call 911, and she'd go woof woof, and that
They
meant
knew.
come now. And they did. They would come out and they would pick him up and put him back in the wheelchair. You know, I mean, she was an amazing dog. She gave her life. They were joined at the hip together. And when she passed away, it was so sad. We gave her a memorial service in Gainesville at the University of Florida Vet School. She had a last salute on her, a ride on her. She had the police department and the sheriff's department
Right,
from
you
Gainesville,
said, yes.
and the university and Gainesville police, and we had Levy County Sheriff's Office gave her an escort out there. And she had bagpipes. She had a judge read a prayer. It was a wonderful day. And I mean, when you look at what is the life of one dog, what
Right.
does it mean when there's so many human priorities? Well, this dog's life had meaning and value. She gave it to help somebody that fought for our freedom. So
Exactly.
and she deserved the honor, and we gave it to her. We did. We gave it to her. So
I think it's beautiful, and when you tell me these stories, and when I see everything presented, this medal, which is absolutely so well done, with the dog and the service dog and the flag, and the patch with the military dogs, and it just brings a wonderful awareness to what you're talking about, to the service and the meaning that these dogs have for everyone that is serving with them.
well, there's one special
they are
dog,
life-saving.
too. Canine Cairo went on the Osama bin Laden mission and went in
You were-
first.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that dog's job was to make sure that it would be safe for the SEALs to go in, and when that was done, the dog went outside to make sure nobody escaped. So,
Nobody escaped.
yeah, and
That is
yeah,
just
and we had
outstanding.
a chance in Florida to do something that New York hadn't done after 9/11.
Right.
They didn't put Sirius, Canine Sirius was the only dog that died in the Twin Towers that day, and they didn't put his name on with the firefighters, but in Pinellas County,
you were able to.
they put his
to
name.
get
They
his
did
name there.
they did a replica in Pinellas County at Curlew Hills Memorial Gardens,
Oh.
and Sirius's name is on there.
Oh,
Yeah, and
for
not
all
only
time
did he
and
do
to be
that,
remembered.
but he put a plaque for Sirius there too.
Oh, well done.
And Sirius got a medal
We're
because
gonna-
the minute that tower was hit, Sirius became a military war dog.
And
She
I
was-
want you to share the story, but
Yeah.
we're going to take another quick break,
Okay,
Barbara.
all right.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about United States War Dogs Association. And Barbara, Please share with us one more story, the story of Tess.
Oh, Tess was such an amazing dog. She was what we call a human remains detection dog, and people will say it's a cadaver dog. She went over to Iraq to bring home our fallen so they could be buried with honor. And the general over there, she did her job so well that he didn't want her to do it, so he put a bounty out on her. And the bounty was $170,000 worth of American cash for anyone that would bring him her ears.
Bring in Tess.
Yeah, and nobody took him up on it. And
rightly so.
I ended up putting a medal over her beautiful ears. And she got back because on the day that they had to give her time to be off, to relax, they took her to Saddam Hussein's castle. And it's in ruins, most of it.
Right.
But the throne was still there.
It's still there.
So they asked Tess to sit up there, and they took a picture. And I have that picture of Saddam Hussein saying, "Here's to," with Tess saying, "Here's to you, Saddam Hussein," and she's sitting on the throne. But
it's
she
perfect.
brought
It's perfect.
fallen home, and so that they could be buried with honor.
Right, and respect and their due.
And she was an amazing dog, and we lost her on April 4th, 2015. And
it's a great loss.
Yes.
But her memory inspires all of us.
Yes, and the way for them dogs to be immortal is to remember them and to share their stories.
And by remembering, we as the community, how can we help?
Oh, every nonprofit has the same answer to that.
I know you need
donations,
assistance.
absolutely, because we're all volunteers and we have to raise money for our own chapter. And we use it to help the dogs. Veterinary bills are high, and we try to get discounts from the veterinarians from them, and a lot of them do. But we need donations, and we need people that want to help. If there's people out there that could help us get out more medals and more certificates of honor,
right.
They could share their stories with me. If they have an uncle out there that served in the war or Vietnam or something, and they know he had a dog that wasn't honored, then let me know, and I'll make sure that dog gets honored.
Yes.
And people can help do some of the things that we do. Go to events with us and talk up these dogs and do the programs in schools.
Right?
Yeah.
Share the news about the association, the credibility, the worthiness of it, and the importance
and
of what you're doing.
And we want to start a Narcan program too, where we're getting
yes.
Where these dogs, if they get overdosed on any opioids when they're out finding the drugs,
right.
We need to make sure that they're protected with Narcan as well as humans are now, with carrying it in ambulances and all that. So,
and even more important than ever before.
And a business could even, if they donated $100, that would be a Narcan kit and it would save the life of a dog. It's something that we could use donations on, and for vet bills, and we're trying to build a statue for Honey the Wonder Dog now. Yeah, and that's going to be...
So there's so many good ways that we, the community, can be involved. And we're almost out of time, and you are a wonderful guest. I want you to share one more thought with us, something that you wrote that is on a memorial.
Yes.
Because it expresses what you're doing and feeling so beautifully. Please.
Yes, it's. I would say to everybody out there, when we pause to remember our heroes, let us also remember our heroes would pause.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for such wonderful, important information and all you are doing, and all of those that are working with you to recognize these military working dogs.
Yes, they're wonderful.
We thank you.
Yes.
And your stories are heartfelt.
Thank you so much, and thank you for letting me do this here today.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And I'm so glad you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next week. Take care.